Time now for our Inside the Race panel with our partners at Politico. This week from Politico, we have Kimberly Leonard, author of Politico's Florida Playbook, and Zach Montalero, deputy national editor at Politico. From Scripps, we have our White House correspondent, Serena Marshall, and our political analyst, Steve Schmidt. All welcome. Zach, let's start with you. Arguably the biggest story of the week, all the college protests happening. How much legs does this have? What are you hearing from your sources? Are we really going to be talking about the unrest like this at conventions this fall, or conventions this summer, or in the fall during early voting?
Yeah, so I mean, certainly, I think the big thing hanging over all these protests is that they have a natural endpoint, which is graduation. Many schools have already finished their classes. If they're not, it's happening soon. So the real question is, will this pick back up, in 3 months when students come back during finals, and in November? And I think it's really a big outstanding question. It seems that every story of the moment seems like, oh, this is going to be the one that hangs over the election. But just think of everything that's happened even since the beginning of the year, right? The big story of a week or of a month often fades away by the time the election happens. So the real X factor, do these protests continue over the summer? Do they pick back up when students are actually in class? And that still remains to be seen because, frankly, the geopolitical politics around this is a big open question.
Steve, are these protests a gift to Republicans? They seem to be uniting the Republican Party on condemning these universities. For Democrats, this issue is slightly more nuanced.
There's an apocryphal quote that's attributed to Sinclair Lewis that when fascism comes to America, it'll be wrapped in the flag and carrying the cross. The reality is the United States is just not susceptible to the type of left-wing extremism politically that you're seeing play out on college campuses. It's an anathema to the American people, to the center of the electorate. The American people look at this and they want to see order. They will not tolerate the bullying, the harassment of American Jews on America's elite college campuses, and they will turn inevitably towards the demagogue in the race who promises order out of chaos, even though, from my perspective, he is an agent of chaos. And of course, I'm talking about Donald Trump.
Kimberly, let's switch topics if we can. This past week, Florida's 6-week ban on abortion went into effect. You know Florida better than most, making Florida another southern state where abortion is heavily restricted. What are your sources telling you? Is this issue such an issue that Florida could be a swing state?
I don't think it's an issue that Florida can be a swing state just because Republicans have so far out-registered Democrats. And look, I'm willing to be proven wrong on this, but I need to see the registration numbers change in order to determine that it's going to be, something that will really flip the script in the state. And the thing about Florida is that voters have the opportunity in November to go to the ballot box and actually enshrine abortion rights into the state constitution. So they have a way to sort of unilaterally do this in the state without needing to also elect Democrats. However, Democrats are definitely using Florida as a warning of what, MAGA America looks like. We saw Joe Biden here last week. Vice President Harris was in town. Florida Democrats are uniting here in Orlando, where I am right now, to really home in on this issue, to do different trainings on how to encourage voters to select yes on the ballot in terms of enshrining abortion rights. So if nothing else, it's a major messaging tool, but in the meantime, a lot of women are affected.
Let's go to the White House. Serena, this week, the Biden campaign pounced over the Trump Time magazine interview in which the former president indicated that he might be okay letting states monitor pregnancies and potentially prosecute women for getting abortions. This is an important moment because up until this point, we really didn't know what a second term of Mr. Trump might look like. I'm seeing Vice President Harris talk about this a lot. She has visited a clinic. What's your pulse on how much President Biden himself will take this issue head on?
Joe, I think pounced is maybe an understatement here. We saw the Biden-Harris ticket put out an ad buy, a 7-figure ad buy yesterday on the anniversary of the Dobbs decision being leaked, in which they are using the former president's comments in that Time interview as part of that ad buy. In response to it, we heard President Biden say that it was, quote, reprehensible. He said Donald Trump on Twitter doesn't trust women. And so the president's already come out in force against former President Trump on this issue multiple times. And it also does, as you mentioned, highlight how Vice President Harris has really taken up the mantle when it comes to abortion access and the administration's position on this. We saw her traveling around as part of her reproductive freedoms tour around the country over the past few months. She was in Florida when that 6-week abortion ban went into effect earlier this week. And it's really been part of her her status here at the White House, kind of coming out from behind the shadows in a way, as taking the lead on that, because it does go back to her time as a prosecutor in California. Also during her time in the Senate, she was an advocate for abortion access. And Wednesday, it marked her 4th speech on abortion in just a month. So when it comes to the campaign, no question that Harris is taking the lead on that issue, but we can't say that President Biden is sitting by. We heard Kimberly say he was in Florida just about a week ago in Tampa, and he really has gone further on this issue than any of his Democratic predecessors. But I think you're going to be hearing from both of them on both issues going forward.
I don't know what was more impressive, your reporting or the fact you did that while there was the groundskeepers behind you cutting the grass. Tell them it looks great. 1600 Pennsylvania looks beautiful. We have to leave the discussion there for now. We have another political panel coming up in the next 30 minutes. All of you, thanks for your insight and your analysis. We'll see you a bit later in the show. Still